Tony Khan has announced a big new AEW signing. We saw a major return on last night's Dynamite, and Trinity has explained why she left WWE. Stay tuned. Big old episode of Dynamite last night. We'll talk about it very, very shortly. But prior to the show, Tony Khan announced a big new signing to the company. This is a real feel-good story, right?
Yeah.
Because he's a lovely, lovely chap. We are talking about Will Washington. So Tony Khan took to Twitter saying he's the new AEW Wrestling Administration Coordinator, working in many areas of wrestling: live events, social media, creative, PR. He has a great wrestling mind. He's here backstage tonight, this was prior to the show of course, at Wednesday Night Dynamite live on TBS, and it's official, Will Washington is all elite. He seems like the soundest bloke. I've had no interaction with him at all, to be honest, in the years that we've been doing this, but I watched some of the stuff that he's on, and his knowledge is unbelievable. Even more impressive is his recollection of things that have disappeared from my mind personally, and like he knows dates. He knows exactly like when every little match happened. He's got an amazing mind for it. I think he's a really good get for them.
Yeah, definitely. Someone to oversee all of this stuff that he's doing as well. Someone who's as passionate as him. It makes sense, doesn't it? I've heard nothing but good things online about him too. Just people saying it couldn't have been a nicer person that they picked. So like,
it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing to see. Good on you, Will.
Yeah, good
on
lad.
you, Will.
Fightful giving us a little bit more on this, saying among the duties Washington will be helping with are overseeing continuity and aiding long-term creative, working directly with Tony Khan.
Ooh.
So that's like an amazing role for the guy.
That's exciting, isn't it? For a wrestling fan to be aiding in long-term creative.
I know,
Imagine.
right?
That's
I
cool.
know, right?
That's really cool.
He's been doing it forever. I think he's been podcasting for something daft like it's close to 20 years now.
Wow.
He's been doing he's been doing wrestling media. So loads and loads of areas that he's covering there, as you say, like live events, social media, creative. Some of these seem to be maybe taking over from Leva Bates, who is obviously just wrapping up with the company now. Like she was doing some of the stuff here. I don't think it's the exact same role, but I think some of her responsibilities are going to be overtaken by Will. I'm most excited, apart from the wrestling creative side, social media. I know it's a weird thing to get excited by, but AEW social media is gash.
Yeah, I think it's good to see these days. A lot of brands do have like fantastic social media, and I think that's something you need as well to keep people sort of invested in the product. It sounds stupid, but you know, like when McDonald's or Wendy's or someone like that has someone doing the social media side of stuff, and like you get a bit of a chuckle out of it or something, don't you? Because you're like, oh, that's pretty funny, that actually.
Yeah, I think the way to do it is inject personality into it, because then you seem less corporate and more like real people. I think that's the way to do it. And you know, with younger people and both WWE, AEW, every wrestling promotion, in fact, desperate to get more young people watching their products. Social media is one of the ways to do it, with, you know, younger people just completely living online.
Absolutely.
So massive, massive congratulations. Couldn't happen to a nicer bloke.
It couldn't.
I say that having never spoken to him. I like him. He seems like a lovely chap.
he seems lovely. He does.
Moving on, AEW Dynamite last night, we saw a big return. Who is it?
It's bloody Hikaru Shida, Adam. So, after a match between Saraya and Willow Nightingale last night, Shida arrived on the scene to seemingly help the Outcast. She even gave out some bloody hugs, didn't she? She came out, obviously, seemingly to help the Outcast attack Willow Nightingale, but Shida double-crossed the group, Adam. She double-crossed them, and instead she helped Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. She hates that woman. My goodness gracious me. And Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter, obviously, and she helped them get the upper hand on the faction. She'd sprayed the Outcasts in the eyes with spray paint, and then she attacked them with the kendo stick and spray painted the letters AEW onto the three ladies.
She's done a DDP.
She's done a DDP.
You know what? It's really, really good to see her back, because she just totally disappeared from TV.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure anybody knew exactly why. I assume that she was injured, because she hadn't wrestled since. It's been a while. Was it end of last year that she last wrestled? December?
I feel like it's
been quite a while.
It sort of, when the faction started to form between Toni Storm and Saraya, and they started to turn heel heel. She was kind of in the middle of all this, and I think she kind of just like disappeared off TV for some time. It was a great swerve, I think.
Yeah, I
like her being off TV for that long and her coming back after she's been friends with Saraya and Toni Storm for the longest time, and then like, oh come on, give us a hug, but then no, switch it around and aligning herself with Britt Baker, like someone who she's had history with as well and had really good feuds with. So I was pleasantly surprised.
I'm interested to see where this all goes.
Yeah, me
I think
too.
Sheeta's a really great babyface.
She's so good,
and actually I'm happier seeing her on that side of the whole thing rather than with the heels. What do you make of the Outcast generally? Are you enjoying it?
I wasn't enjoying it to begin with. It's starting to get better now, and I'm getting a bit more invested in it.
The Double or Nothing main event has been confirmed. Who'd have thunk it? It's a fatal four-way.
No.
It is. It's a 4 pillars, 4-way match. So it was confirmed after Dynamite, obviously, which saw Darby Allin. I almost said Gigi Allen there. Gigi Allen, who's not around anymore. It is based on that. His name is based on that. Are you familiar with it? Yeah, you know.
There you go. Know. Just let me whack on your face, will you?
Gigi Allen and Jungle Boy defeating Sammy Guevara and MJF in that tag team match. Sammy and MJF, again, who'd have thunk it, aren't best friends anymore. Big old double cross.
No.
Nobody saw it coming.
No.
It took a bit of getting there, didn't it? This match. Like, what have you made of the tournament?
I think we all knew this was what was going to happen in the first place anyway. I think it was just a little bit of filler to get us to that point.
It's not It's not been the most interesting bit of creative.
No.
We got there in the end. And it'll be a good match. It'll be a good match.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the thing. I think the match itself will be good. Some of the promos beforehand and some of the trash talking that the competitors have done to one another hasn't landed, I don't believe, but I think it's more than going to make up for it in this main event. I think it's going to be amazing.
For sure. We got some big matches announced for this week's Rampage, next week's Dynamite. We'll go through those really quickly. We got the firm deletion match, of course. That's going to be taking place on Rampage. Also on Rampage, you've got El Hijo del Vikingo. I can't say it. And the Lucha Brothers, you know what I'm talking about, versus Powerhouse Hobbs, QT Marshall, and Aaron Solo. We got Jade Cargill versus To Be Announced. Good luck to To Be Announced there. Mark Briscoe versus Preston Vance as well. On AEW Dynamite next week, we of course have the massive steel cage match between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, as well as an international I'm on form today, championship match, Orange Cassidy defending against Daniel Garcia. And also we will hear from FTR. More good news for Tony Khan. It was a hell of a day for old Tony. It's been a hell of a week for old Tony, in fact, as he announced the AEW All-In ticket pre-sales emanating from London, England. Tony Khan saying, thanks to our great fans, only 32 hours into the pre-sale for AEW All in London, we've already sold over 43,000 tickets for over 4.5 million pounds, that is, sterling, or $5.7 million dues before general on sale has even begun, with more great seats going on sale soon. This is a number that eclipses even WCW's best ever selling show. We're not counting the North Korea one, of course. Lots of people were there, the joint promotion stuff that he did. It's just massive. It's really, really just... I'm so buzzing that they've managed to do this on the pre-sale in a company, relatively speaking, still in its infancy, to get that level on the pre-sale. And you know what else is really good about this is there were affordable tickets as well.
They were.
Like one thing that WWE got a lot of criticism for is the fact that some of those tickets were really bloody expensive. Actually, I know the Ticketmaster thing, like the website was playing up, it always does, but there was some affordable tickets for people during this time, and I reckon they could feasibly hit like 50k by the end of the week.
Oh yeah, I think for sure. It was so cool to see. I know, obviously, on Twitter, I follow a lot of wrestling people for the job and everything as well. But like, just to see the timeline like flooded with people waiting in line or getting the tickets, and like everybody just being so buzzing about it. Well, not everybody was buzzing about it, because there's always people that want to see the downfall of AEW, and that's a little bit silly. Like,
it's just good for business. It's good for the wrestling business.
Yeah,
I'm not
definitely.
talking about AEW. It's good for wrestling as a whole. We all know that. It's something to celebrate for sure.
Yeah.
And congratulations to you if you got tickets. Like it was just great sexy and all the buzz around it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I felt the same at Clash of the Castle. It's obviously different. We're here in the UK. We don't get too many massive major wrestling events like this.
Yeah.
And we've had a few back to back now, or upcoming anyway. And every time that I see all of my mates getting hyped for it, it's just
because
nice,
it brings people back as well. People, I feel like sometimes have just been lapsed, but the excitement of wrestling, like all of a sudden comes back when you're like, all us mates can go. We can go and watch wrestling. Let's just like have a nice time with it. You know,
what? The affordability of the tickets really plays into that.
It
because
does.
People will take a punt when you get a ticket for 30 odd quid. People might just go, let's try it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big wrestling event.
Yeah.
And all of that without CM Punk so far.
Yes.
I wasn't going to mention it. I'm joking. Right. Trinity has explained why she left WWE. She's been speaking out on Busted Open Radio, and she gave a bit of insight into her decision, saying, "I chose and want to be at Impact. The doors are open for me everywhere, literally everywhere." Interesting. But I truly feel like Impact is the best choice for me at this point in my life right now. With what I want to do, just be able to work with the talent here. I feel that is where I'll be happiest and most utilized and really get to grow in ways that I feel I need to right now on this wrestling journey. Had all of the stuff never happened, there's no way I would have taken that leap. The situation kind of forced me to figure it out. That's what I meant when I say everything was a blessing in disguise. I was going through a lot, felt very stagnant, and I wasn't happy. Ultimately, I left that day because of the way I was talked to and handled. Everything kind of broke me that day. It had nothing to do with anything else or anybody else. That was just it. I had to go through the backlash and negativity and the lies and the rumors and also feel lost. It really broke me. It was probably the lowest I've ever felt in my life. Going through that, it made me reset and face it head on and figure out how to learn from this experience, grow from it, and find myself again in all of it. I'm extremely happy now. I'm really thankful for this opportunity to show that you haven't seen me at my best yet. It's really, like, obviously it's awful to hear that she went through it. You would assume that she's talking about Laurinaitis, the way that she was spoken to there. Obviously Laurinaitis isn't there anymore. So it's interesting still that she chose Impact. But we talked about this before. Impact's women's division is top notch. I think it's the best in North America. And if that's what she wants to do right now, then good for her. And it's just great hearing that she's happy, right?
Yeah, it's great hearing she's happy. It's also great hearing that the door is open literally everywhere. Literally everywhere. My house, off you go. Go on. Go see me mum, put she on me. I don't know why I did that then. Never mind. I genuinely think down the line, I think that Mercedes Moné is going to pick up the New Japan United States Strong Championship, and then we're going to get her and Trinity down the line, like facing off. I think eventually they're going to come face to face. I think Trinity goes off on this little sort of journey to discover herself a little bit, and we get banger matches with everybody in Impact. But I do believe that eventually we're going to get those two facing off in a ring. Not necessarily like, being mates and being a tag team, but I think we'll see them face off together down the line.
Long-term booking here by Andrew Hodgkinson. We will be back very, very shortly with more wrestling news. And then this evening, you have got WWE Backlash predictions as well. Myself and Andrew giving those to you in a little bit. Have a good day. Take care of yourselves. In a bit.